Welcome back to the channel of the Windsurf Coach. It's great to have you back on the channel. I know this is gonna be the video that loads of you guys and girls were waiting for. I got massive response to the teaser already. So today I'm gonna do a review on harness lines, and I'm not talking about just harness lines. The harness lines reinvented, harness lines 2.0. Of course, we used to start out with just a rope that we tied around our booms. It was hard to move and it dangled around all over the place. Later, we introduced the attachment systems to keep that harness line in place, to make it easier to place them on your boom, but they were still flexible and all over the place. Due to the friction of the hook on the harness lines, the lines wore out pretty quickly. The next step was to introduce the harness lines with the attachment system and the tubes, and they were more stable. They weren't all over the place anymore. Of course, they would swing around, but at least it was easier to hook in and out. Not everybody is the same, so you also need to adjust your harness lines for the right size for you. So they came up with the adjustable harness line systems. We are now in 2024 and Lisa Windsurfing has reinvented the harness line itself. If you look at these harness lines, it is in no way comparable with what we had when we started out. Of course, there are still lines involved, but look at this. It is completely different from what we had, and the adjustment range is from 28 to 50 inch. That is massive. So let's quickly have a closer look at the harness lines and then hit the water. Clam cleat rope clamps, long tubes, high-tech and durable plastic mountings, smart attachment system, lightweight, rope guiding and clamp. Let's mount them on my boom. And if you want to see how it's done in real time, at the end of the video I will show you. They sit quite firmly on my boom, but it's still easy to adjust the position or the angle. The long front arm allows the rope to stay in one place, so it's easy to hook in and out. At the end of the video I will reveal a discount code that you got from Lisa Windsurfing for these lines. First test: light wind foiling, 720 front wing, 210 back wing, 8 square meters. Let's go! The wind is very light, so I need to persuade my gear to get up and fly. First time hooking in, smooth. As you can see, once you have hooked in, the front arm will get into the right angle and will stay there. So when you do another jibe, the lines will be exactly where you want them to be. As the wind isn't that strong, I will only use the lines pretty short right now. In this light wind session I found one little issue. I noticed that as the adjustment end of the line is pretty flexible and thin, it might just wrap around the harness line, making it more difficult to adjust. But I think it can be easily solved by using stiffer rope. Or I should just learn to grab the rope near the clamp. Medium wind for the second windfoil session using the 560 front wing, 190 back wing and the 6.0 Severn. This time I want to use more of that long range that I've got, the 28 to 50 inch adjustment. If you're going downwind and you want to go fast, you want to get in that toilet seat stance and want to have your lines long, 40 inch or maybe even more. When going back upwind, I make the lines shorter and it's easier for me to gain some ground, just to extend those lines again and go for another speed run. The adjustment range is more than enough for me and adjusting is really simple. It feels great to be using lines that can be this long, especially downwind when you want to go as low and far outboard as possible. I'm starting to really appreciate those lousy lines. I don't want to go back anymore to the lines I had before. It's mainly the stability which makes hooking in and out that easy, and the huge adjustment range that make it special. I was afraid that those hard parts and that long front arm would be in the way, but they just aren't. Of course, the more hard parts there are on the system, the more likely it is that you will accidentally hurt yourself on one of these parts. But those hard parts aren't that hard as I expected them to be, and the front arm is also quite flexible. If you're a dedicated windfoiler, these lines will be perfect for you with the stability and the long range. I could use the harness lines windfoiling in light to medium winds, that was no problem. But when it's really cranking and you want to go for a nice hardcore slalom session, can you still use the lines? Let's turn up the wind and let's find out. 60 centimeter wide eye Sonic, 33 centimeter fin, 5.2 sail. The reason why I take them windsurfing as well is that I normally use the shorter range of the lines when windsurfing. Normally anywhere between 28 and 32, maybe 34 inches, but not longer than that. Comparing that to windfoiling, there you normally start with 32 or 34 and then up to, for me, 44 or 46 inch. Berne is one of the locals and joined me on this fun session today. Except for the difference in line length, windsurfing you'll bounce all over the place, so it's the ultimate test to see if the lines stay in the same position and stay in the same angle, so it will be easy to hook in and out. This is one of the best parts of those lines windsurfing. The angle stays just the same. That means that they are right in front of your hook if you want to hook in again. Normally those lines start swinging when you bounce all over the place. It's quite a rough session on my home spot with the wind on the limit of which I can handle with my slalom gear. That means the perfect conditions for testing new gear. If there would be any signs of weakness, you will find them in conditions like this. These lines are meant for those of you who will use them windsurfing and windfoiling without the need to switch between harness lines. But the stability of the system and the easy adjustment also make them perfect for windsurfing only. Of course you don't need that long range, so you could cut the rope and you could cut the tube, so you'll have it in a 26 to a 34 inch range. To conclude the test, let's do a last speed run, get those lines slightly longer and let's go as fast as possible. I use the harness lines windfoiling and windsurfing. What is great about them and what is the downside of it? When I first saw it, I was afraid it would be heavy and it would be hard, so you would hurt yourself on those long, hard plastic parts. But it's just very flexible stuff. It's not just hard. That was a really nice surprise. As you can see, they fit really well on the boom. They don't slide around all over the place. The attachment system is really smart and it's not that hard. It hasn't got any screws to it, so it's easy to attach and detach. Of course, it takes a little bit of extra time as you have to undo the lines on those plastic parts before you can take them off, but it was much easier than I thought it would be. So switching between booms is also possible, but if you regularly switch between booms, I would recommend buying 2 pairs. But that's also immediately the downside of them. If you compare these harness lines with the old piece of rope that you would buy for a few dollars or a few euros, here with the Lisa system you are talking about 100 euros. Compared to where we came from, it's very expensive. But then again, you cannot compare this system with a normal rope anymore. You have a really easy adjustment system which is just perfect. It works perfect. You don't even have to look where they are. When you use them, they immediately get in the right angle and they stay there. They don't change. So when you hook in again, you find the harness line exactly where they were when you left them. And they absolutely stay in place. No matter what happens, they will always stay in the same position. As I already said, I was afraid they were going to be really heavy as they are so massive, but they are incredibly light. One of the things they did to make them that light is use thinner and stronger cords. These thinner ropes can get tangled around your harness lines, making it more difficult to adjust. This is something that can be overcome by using a thicker and less flexible line if you want to. But I just kept it this way and it's fine for me. Even though the harness lines stay in position on your boom, they are also easy to adjust. You can just move them around a bit to get them in the right position for you. As soon as you will hook in, those attachment systems will grab the boom and hold them tight and keep them in place. What I also definitely liked about it was the massive range. I could use them windsurfing and windfoiling without having to switch between the lines. Really a lot of time has been spent developing these harness lines and making them as good as they are. So yes, Lisa Windsurfing has taken a huge leap into the future with those new harness lines. Lisa Windsurfing also has a little surprise for the followers of the Windsurf Coach. You will get a 10% discount on those harness lines if you use the code WindsurfCoach. I do hope you liked this video about the Lisa Windsurfing harness lines systems, as I can't call them lines anymore. If you did, of course, don't forget to leave a like. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and of course don't forget to subscribe to the channel of the Windsurf Coach so you won't miss out on any of the new stuff. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time. I will see you on the water.